Hi, everybody. Henry here with the Arizona Roofer for another Ask a Roofer from AskARoofer. So, Ask a Roofer, sponsored by the Roofer's Coffee Shop, can be reached at AskARoofer.com. AskARoofer.com. Several professionals from around the nation will answer your questions when you go there and ask your questions, so you can get all kinds of interesting feedback, answers, advice, tips, etc. And some of them will obviously be regional specific. And in this case, someone from Arizona asked. Now, I'm in Arizona. As you can see, I am the Arizona Roofer. So this question here, I think that I have some good advice for this person. The question is, this is a long one. It's going to be several slides, so buckle in. Let's go. Hello, riffing experts. I'm coming here to see if I can please get some advice from those who know. Well, thank you. We're glad you came. Please excuse me if I don't use the correct lingo or say anything that might offend. I am uneducated in the ways of building and construction, so that's why I'm seeking expert opinions. But here's a little background first. Hey, don't worry about offending riffers. We make offense and offending each other and offending others kind of a sport. So don't worry about that. And also, don't worry that you don't know. That's why we're here. We're here to answer. I don't know a lot of things about a lot of things. I do know a lot of things about roofing, but other things I don't know about. I say, for example, taxes. I reach out to a CPA. They're professional, so I'll reach out to them. So you're doing the right thing by reaching out to the professionals in the roofing industry to get your answers. Good job. All right, so I live in Phoenix, Arizona area, me too, and I have a two-story tile. It's ceramic or a concrete, cement, not sure what it's made out of. Well, I'm going to guess it's probably made out of concrete. That's the typical tile around here. There are some ceramics, but I'm going to guess yours is concrete. I haven't seen a picture of it. The roof that is 15 years old, there's one. And then 3 years ago, we developed a leak made known during a heavy monsoon. Hey, that's pretty common actually. You 15 years and 3 years ago, so at the age of 12 years of age, you got a leak. That's pretty common, not surprising. We had it fixed by a family friend who was a roofer by trade, also pretty common, not surprising. A couple of months ago it happened again, also not surprising. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this here in a second, but it is pretty common that a roof reaching about the age of your roof will start to develop leaks. And some, if they hadn't started developing leaks within the first 3 to 5 years, then it's probably not an installer error. It could be probably just wear and tear, but we're going to talk about that. What's your question here? So our friend does more repairs and lets us know that our house had bad underlayment and we had to replace a larger area this time to ensure it will work. He told us all the houses around us were built during the housing boom, had inadequate underlayment. 2 years go by at this last summer, and during the heavy monsoon storm, a new leak occurred in a different room. So I have a couple of things to say on this slide real quick before we move on. I don't know what he would consider as inadequate underlayment. If the underlayment was rated for a tile roof, then it wouldn't be inadequate, the underlayment itself. It could mean that it wasn't installed very well. That's kind of a common thing that goes along with some new housing developments. Sometimes the workmanship is a little lacking, but it's hard to say without seeing it, to be honest. So I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would get with that statement right there, especially since the house is already 15 years old and you're now starting to see leaks, which is pretty common for adequate underlayment. I'm going to talk a little bit more about underlayment here in a minute, but now for those of you who are not in Arizona, you may think that we don't get a lot of rain. We do get a lot of rain, but we get it all at once. So a monsoon, imagine that there are 6,000 buckets of water and they're all dumped on just your house all alone with a huge wind right behind them all at once. And they're forced their way into every nook, cranny, and crevice possible on your building. That's a monsoon. It happens quick, it's sudden, it's drenching, it's flooding, it destroys property. It can be very, very damaging. So we get our roofs tested every year during the monsoon season, and the way the monsoons work, you could get the monsoon and your neighbor doesn't. It's a weird thing about our area, but that you're seeing leaks with monsoon weather at the age of your roof, I wouldn't be too concerned about that because that is quite normal, assuming that the house was built using contractor grade materials, that's about the right time. We're going to talk a little more about that. So this got me to wanting to get. This got me to look into getting the whole roof redone with new underlayment. Good job. So I guess I'm asking how to make sure I get a good company that will not rip me off. Great question. We're going to talk about that. That family friend who fixed it at the same time recommended I have a Fontana G40 put down. He also said to make sure that there are new materials, not seconds and leftovers. What are some of the things I can do as a homeowner to ensure that I get quality work at a fair price? I'm going to touch on just for a little bit of this, and then I got things to say about like the Fontana 40 and whatnot coming up. But when you say seconds and leftovers, so we have a problem in our industry where the guys who do like the second tier subcontracting work, they're just a couple of guys driving around in an old truck with roofing stuff sticking out of it everywhere, probably not licensed or insured. They will keep materials from jobs that they've done for other contractors and use them to do their own repairs to make money on this side. Sometimes they'll steal them too, so that happens as well. So that's probably what he's talking about, and that's kind of common, especially for, I don't know who your friend is. You seem maybe he's a good guy. I don't know, but a lot of times when guys do repairs on the sites, that's where they get the materials because they don't have an account to go buy the materials. And who wants to buy a whole lot of materials when you're just doing a small repair? So that's yeah, it could be that they're not maybe not used, but maybe they're taken from another job site that leftover scrap material. If it's brand new, I mean, come on, yeah, I guess it's okay, but there is a problem sometimes with using seconds and leftovers on tile roof restoration or R&R remove and replace projects, whichever term you prefer, where the contractor will flip the battens and they'll reuse those old wood battens and or they'll use all the flashings all over again. All you really get is underlayment. And sometimes they won't even tear off the old underlayment, just go right over it. I don't recommend any of that. If you're going to get a new underlayment, a remove and replace, you need new underlayment, you need new battens, you need all new flashings. Take everything off. The only thing you're going to keep from the original roof is the tile itself, which will last you another 30 years or so once you've replaced the underlayment. So keep that in mind when you're getting bids. You want everything new, no flipping the battens, and don't reuse any flashings at all. And we're going to talk a little bit about this, but if you do want a little bit more, I'm going to give a plug right now to the Tile Roof Institute. The Tile Roof Institute, and you can look them up online. And for those of you who are not familiar, you can also look them up online. Tile Roof Institute. They establish all the standards for concrete tile roofs, and you can get basic information from them, like on a scope of work or installation guides or whatever you need to know to kind of get caught up on it when you go to talk to roofers so that you can hear when they're not telling you something right. That's important. Education and knowledge is power. All right, so in Arizona, the average service life is right about 15, 20 years. That's why I'm saying for you to start experiencing leaks now in your service life of your roof, pretty normal. I wouldn't worry too much about that necessarily. I don't think you had shoddy work or anything like that, or we would have seen the years typically in 3 to 5. So generally, if there's really poor workmanship, you're going to see the leaks immediately as soon as you get the first storm. If they're because of the way our storms work, and sometimes the monsoon hits you and sometimes it doesn't, and it's just very unpredictable. Maybe you don't get the monsoons come through in the monsoon season, but your particular property doesn't get hit for monsoon for 3 to 5 years, and that's kind of when we're going to find out more about installation errors in that. But once you get past the 5 year, 6 year, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're moving up to those years. Your leaks are going to probably be from either a lack of maintenance or they're going to be from deterioration. And by the way, a lack of maintenance can accelerate deterioration in areas. So if you're experiencing leaks around vent pipes or in valley areas or off of dormers or wherever there's a flashing, a transition or anything like that, there's probably something to do with maintenance. There's a lack of maintenance. It held water longer. It deteriorated the material quicker than normal. And that's why you're experiencing leaks in certain areas and not in other areas. That could be, again, I haven't seen the property. If I saw it, I would have had a more solid answer for you. But um, excuse me, there's been a lot of allergies here lately in Arizona. So, and if you haven't been to Arizona and you think it's an allergy-free state, which I've heard, it's not. we have we have every plant from the whole world here in Arizona. So that's a whole side story. We'll get into that. Let's move on. Now, Fontana is a brand. I said earlier I wanted to talk more about that. So, Fontana G40 is a brand of material. It's a very common brand of material. It's cost effective. It's readily available. So, a lot of installers will just default to that and use that term as if it were a type of material. The only part that's the type is the 40, which is a 40 pound. So, you have your basic three types of underlayment that well, I would use or recommend in Arizona, which would be a 30-pound asphalt saturated underlayment, which is rated for tile. And before people start yelling at me, you can't use 30-pound on a tile roof. There are two types of 30-pound underlayments that you can find at supply yards. Okay, one type is designed only for shingles. You have to have direct contact with that. The difference between shingles and tile, well, lots of differences, but one of the differences is the tile is elevated above. Where shingles lay flat, the tile is elevated above. There's a second type of 30-pound saturated felt underlayment that is also rated for tile. There's a real simple way you'll know. Anybody can do this. Homeowners, pay attention to this, because if you're not sure if you're having the right underlayment, you can easily go out, look at the underlayment. If there are two ASTM numbers, ASTM, what is it? American Standard Testing Procedures, something like that. Materials Testing Procedure. American Standard Materials Testing Procedure. You know what? Forget all that. AST. I'm sorry about that, folks. It's actually Saturday, and I'm supposed to be out front doing farmers markets, but I'm doing this. If you see two of them on there, two ASTM standards, that's been rated for a tile roof. If you want to know which ATSTM standards are appropriate for a tile roof, again, you can go to the Tile Roof Institute's website. They will tell you, or you can just look at the materials, see that ASTM number on there, go inside and Google that number, and it'll tell you what that material's been rated for. So there's a little trick for you. ASTM is the number that tells you what that material has been rated for, because the ASTM standards is how they test the materials for use in wherever it's going to be applied. So that's why you would look at that. Now you also have the 40-pound underlayment. It's Fontana is a brand of 40-pound underlayment. GAF has it, as well as several other manufacturers have 40-pound underlayment. It's good. It's a little more rigid. It has a higher fiberglass content, I think, than a 30-pound would, depending on the brand, I suppose. But it's a good underlayment as well. And then there's also a self-adhering underlayment. My personal favorite, by the way, is self-adhering underlayment, because when you install a self-adhered underlayment, you have no exposed fasteners anywhere in your underlayment. And also, usually they can be they are probably SBS modified, which is a rubber, styrene, butadiene styrene, and you will take that rubber can seal like a gasket sort of around any fasteners you do put through, like for battens or flashings or things like that. So I like the self-adhered underlayment as well, and you can get it with a reflective surface too that might help. On my house, my own personal house here, which I'm selling right now, but I have literally the best roof in the block. I have an Eagle Armor self-adhered underlayment on there with arched battens. So let me back up a little bit there, because I had mentioned this before. You want to make sure that the battens are replaced. You want to make sure that the flashings are replaced. There's a terrible habit in Arizona amongst contractors that just drives me up the wall as a consultant. Is when they go over the old underlayment with new, and then they flip the battens over and reuse them as if flipping them over makes a difference. I mean, to me, it's like turning your shirt inside out and wearing it again. But it doesn't make any sense. And they reuse flashings. Once the flashings have been fastened down, you don't want to reuse them again. They're going to be banged up when you pull them up. They're going to be damaged, and probably they're going to trim them up to get them back over. But there's all kinds of messes. So you want to make sure they're replacing the underlayment. They're going to replace any bad decking, and we go back to going over existing underlayment. If they go over the existing underlayment, that means they did not tear off the existing underlayment. If they did not tear off the existing underlayment, they can't see with their eyes any bad wood, and they're not replacing bad wood. You could potentially probably get bad wood covered up. And if you had some severe leaks, you're going to have some bad decking that needs to be replaced. So you want to make sure that they tear everything off, right to the wood. They inspect the decking, replace any bad wood, install new edge metal, install new riser flashing, install new underlayment, install new battens. Look for battens that are arched or elevated, okay, not just the ones, the common ones, real cheap ones you can buy in the big bundles. A lot of them are bent and curved and whatnot. but they just lay flat on the roof, and they're common. You can use them. It'll probably last you for a while. But I would personally recommend getting either an arched batten like Eagle sells or an elevated batten. I think you can buy from that Boreal makes. And you'll have a better roof in the long run for sure. And of course, I can give you more advice if you have more specific questions on that. Now, for finding a roofing contractor, and I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I'm going to try and sum this up. It was a really long question, and thank you for all that information you put in your question, because it certainly helps me come up with an answer for you that I think well. And if it doesn't, let me know, and I can then add more or addend it or whatever you want me to do to make sure that you get the right answer you need, or the right answer, not necessarily the one you need, but the one you need is the right answer. So I would consider using the National Roofing Contractors Association membership directory when you start your hunt. Now, I know there's a lot of organizations and associations out there, but the NRCA, they offer their contractor members a lot of training, a lot of online stuff, and a whole lot of free material, such as the NRCA's waterproofing and roofing manuals, installation guides. You can get those contractors tend to be more engaged with manufacturers and more engaged in their industry and things like that. That doesn't mean that every single person on that list is going to be engaged like that, but your chances of them being an engaged industry participant, not just somebody who's making money on the side, but they're involved in the industry, shaping the industry. They're a part of the industry. They want to see change in the industry. They're working toward that, all that stuff. Those are the contractors you want to work with. They're going to be members of the NRCA. So that's a good place to start weeding down your choices, right? And like I said, again, there's a second slide. Sorry about that, but consider NRCA for your hunt. There is also the Arizona Roofing Contractors Association here in town. That's ARCA. And you can look them up as well. And there's a directory on there as well. And you can check that. Now, if they're a member of ARCA and a member of the NRCA, that's double good for you. And that would probably help you narrow down your list. So, are they a member of NRCA? Yes, bam, great. If they're a member of ARCA, yes, bam, great. Now you've narrowed your list down even more. Now let's talk about some tips on how to vet your roofer beforehand. So first, you want to check with the ROC and make sure they're a licensed contractor, registry of contractors. Then you want to check with the ACC, which is the Arizona Corporate Commission's website. Make sure they're a legitimate business. They're even allowed to do business in Arizona. You also want to go to the local Superior Court records and look them up. See if the company or the principals in the company are engaged in any or a lot or some civil litigations, or they sue a lot, or they get sued a lot, or even worse, if they have any criminal issues with the courts. And that's a really great way to kind of see how contractors stack up. If you don't want to deal with a contractor who loves going to court, there's a way you can find out. If they're a long list of cases they have, every contractor over time is going to have some court issues, but you just have to kind of use your own common sense and read through the cases and see if this is, a contractor you think is, fair or not. Then you also want to check social media, like Facebook and Twitter and whatever, all these different social media channels. You can usually go to their websites and see their social media on there, see what they say, what kind of posts are they posting, just kind of get a feeling for the culture and the personality of the contractor, the company. They'll often post pictures of their work, and they'll give you a sneak preview of some of their job sites. And I can tell you what, I am surprised every time I get on Facebook and look at roofers and the things they post. They post unsafe job sites, dirty job sites, substandard work. They post all that on there. I guess they don't know that it's shoddy or substandard or unsafe, I guess. But I mean, it really gives you a peek into their world. And then check online reviews. Now, when I say check online reviews, I mean websites that contractors don't pay to be a part of. If the contractor's paying there to be a part of, then that tells you something very important, that the person who runs the website gets paid by the contractors. So it would benefit them, right, if their contractors had good ratings, because the contractors are going to want to use their website as a reference. And so I would watch websites that don't ask for money from the contractors, at least to be listed and get rated. I mean, Yelp is a good one, sort of. I mean, they do ask for some money from advertisers, but You don't have to pay to play on Yelp or different. There's a whole bunch of sites like that. Yelp is the one that comes up the most. They've done a pretty good job of establishing themselves in the industry. Now, when you're checking online reviews, here's my advice: read the reviews very carefully, but even more carefully, read the responses to the reviews. Is the contractor kind and empathetic and diplomatic, or are they harsh, defensive, and they're ready to go on the war path anytime that there's a comment made about them? So there's a few tips right there. There's a lot more things that we could talk about with hiring a contractor, but those are a few tips to get you started. And so I am Henry Staggs. I'm the Arizona Roofer. I've got more than 30 years experience. More than almost 40. I don't feel as old as anyways, I won't get into that, but I'm a regular contributor to different industry publications. I really like writing. I like doing this question and answer kind of thing. If I could do that for a living, I definitely would. I've earned several industry a roof expert credentials. So when I say I'm a verifiable expert, I have the credentials that show that. I don't just say it. I've taken the test and jumped through the hoops and proven myself over and over and over again for all kinds of third-party entities that really don't care about me personally because they don't know me. So to me, that was a good thing. It was a trying thing, and it took a lot of hard work. So I personally won't try to sell you a roof. The Arizona Roofer or the Arizona Roof Expert is a consulting firm only. We help you, and we do consulting, we do condition assessments, we do due diligence, we do all that kind of stuff. But I don't try to sell you a roof. I don't try to sell you a roof repair as the Arizona Roofer because if I did that, there would be a conflict of interest, and it would prohibit me from giving you real good, solid, unbiased advice. So I don't do that. And then I give the facts just as they are, and I make recommendations. I'm going to start that over again. I will give you the facts, and I make my recommendations based on what the best practices and industry standards are at the time that I'm helping. Of course, there's opinion involved in there, but I try to root my opinion in facts and standards. So that when the roof is completed, anybody else who comes and looks at it will say that roof was done right. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to help out, I could use more subscribers. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers right now. I don't know when you're watching this video, but at this time I have like 30 or 20 or something, but I need quite a few more. And if you want to reach out to me personally, you can reach me at theazroofexpert.com. That's the azroofexpert.com, or you can call me at 480-435-5190. Thank you. Have a nice day.